Hi guys, this is Shweta here and welcome to day 8 of Doodle Shoodle's advanced workshop. So today we are going to be using a lot of this instead of this, okay? It's not that I will not be using because I need to explain, but we'll be using a lot of brushes. So let me just start. You know by now what we are doing. We are going to be learning the basic techniques of watercoloring, okay? Let me just quickly tell you all the supplies that we need. First and foremost, we need a watercolor sheet. So this is my watercolor sheet. For explanation, I'm going to use my normal sheets, but if I need to draw or give you a demonstration, then I'll be using a watercolor sheet. So this is one. You'll be needing your round brush, okay? This is the round brush that I usually like to use. This is by Princeton, but if you want, you can use any brand that you are having, okay? I'm going to be using this, but you have various other kind of brushes also. You have the flat one, then you have a bigger round one. This is of size 11. This was of size 6. Yeah, 6. And then there's a thin one if you want to give little detailing and stuff, okay? So these are the few brushes, but I don't need these right now. It depends upon the kind of illustrations or watercoloring that I'm doing. I need my watercolor set, so I've got two examples to show you. One is this, and here is another one. So this is my normal camel students watercolor cake, okay? I'll just open this and show you. So this is one that you can use. It's very easy. All the important colors are actually here and here sort of. So you can use this, or the currently I'm using are these ones. So these are my brushstroke watercolor pocket set. I like to use these ones currently. It comes with a brush pen. I have water filled in this, so if I want to do any blending or if I want to just pick colors, I can use this also along with the brush that I have here, okay? I'll show you the palette that I have of brushstroke. So this is the palette, and it opens this way. So I've got all my colors, primary, secondary, tertiary. I've got all the colors over here. Yeah. So this is how my palette looks like. So whenever I need the colors, I'll just spread it out and I can use these colors accordingly. Alright, so this is by the brand Brushstroke, and this is the normal one, Camel. So I'm not going to be using this one. I've used this enough, you could see that. Currently, since I'm using this, let's go ahead with this palette. Let me keep it here. I won't use this brush pen. I like using my normal brush more because of the quality that I'm using right now of Princeton. So, and I'm very much used to this. But if you want, you can go ahead and use the brush pen, the transparent, where you can fill water and pick up your colors and everything. So this is one thing. Then you will need a palette, okay? Keep this one here. You will need a paper towel or bunch of tissue papers to wipe your brushes in. So make sure that you have either your paper towel or a rug or bunch of tissue paper like I have right now. I don't have paper towel. So I'll keep this here, my palette over here. Another important thing that you need is a jar of water, okay? I would recommend to have 2 glasses of water, okay? Not just one for your light colors and other for your dark colors. So I would request if you can have 2 glasses of water, just very small glasses, clear water. One you will be using for the darker colors and one you will be using for the lighter ones, okay? So do that. And of course, for the end session, for the final illustration, you'll be needing a pencil, an eraser, and you'll be needing fine liners, okay? We've done fine liners before in the basic, so I have a set of these fine liners. This is a micron, Okay, it's Sakura Micron. I love these. So for all my illustrations that I do handmade, I use these fine liners. I'll keep it same. Okay, let's get started with our watercolor basic session. Okay, so I'll just keep my watercolor paper aside. And by the way, I will like to introduce my watercolor, the brand and everything. Before we go ahead, this is the one that I'm using right now. This is the very cheap quality, I would say. Okay, it is 25% cotton. It's cold pressed. It's watercolor sheet by Brustro. Okay, and this is 200 GSM, the one that I have. Okay, so you can use something like this. Just remember one thing in watercolors: the thicker the paper, the lesser it is having a tendency to kind of have that bounciness when you add colors to it. So if I add color to this watercolor sheet, and if I add a lot of water, I might feel that there is a raise on my paper, a little bumpiness on the paper. Okay, because this is just 200 GSM, just 200. But if I want to have a clear illustration or a piece, a masterpiece that I'm creating, I'll make sure that my thickness is way more. Okay, so probably I'll use a better one. This is a little cheaper quality for my daily purposes and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll explain you first over here, and then we'll go ahead on the watercolor sheet. If you want, you can do the same. Okay, so I'm going to write in big bold letters watercolor techniques. Yeah, let's get started. So when we're talking about watercolors, basically what are we actually getting into? We're using colors. We're going to use waters are going to pick the colors, and there will be pigmentation. Okay, there is going to be pigmentation of the colors on your sheet, and you will be able to spread the colors in various different forms. We'll be looking into that. Okay, so let us understand first what are colors and how do you have the primary, secondary, tertiary colors. Okay, so for that, let's begin with. There is something called as color wheel. Okay, color wheel, or you can also say color theory. It's very important to understand this, because if you do not understand the relation between the colors, then it will be difficult for you to figure out what colors to give into your drawings or illustrations or doodles, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so please understand this color wheel and color theory really well. Everyone knows we have primary colors. Which are those? Red, yellow and blue. These are primary colors. Why they are called as primary colors? Because they cannot be made by mixing any other color. You cannot make a red, you cannot make a yellow, you cannot make a blue by mixing any other color. So that is why they are called primary colors. Okay, these are like the origination of colors, you can say. Then you have something called as secondary colors. Now secondary colors are what? When you mix two primary colors, the other color that you get is a secondary color. Now for example, if I mix, let's say, red plus yellow, what will you get? If you mix red plus yellow, you get orange. Okay, let's say we mix yellow plus blue. So I'm going like red plus yellow, we are done. Yellow plus blue. Okay, so what do we get? Green. Now what is remaining? Red and blue. What is red plus blue gives us? Any guess? So now you will know whether your favorite color is a primary color, secondary color, or a tertiary color. Okay? So this is how your secondary colors are. Now what are tertiary colors? Now tertiary colors is if you mix, let's say, a primary color and a secondary color, it will give you a tertiary color. Let's say, okay, let's go with yellow and orange. I'll go with this first. Yellow plus orange will give you yellow orange. They don't have a specific name, a different name, but you will get something like this. Okay? Then let's say I'm adding yellow plus green. You get yellow green. Okay? And so on will be the list. Let's say orange and red. Orange and red gives you, actually the name goes like red orange. Sorry, green plus blue will give you blue green. Okay, so this is how it is, like the name is given this way. There is no other, like, why Shweta, why are you writing this way? It's just this way. This is the rule. Let's say red plus purple will give you red purple, and blue plus purple gives you Sahi Jawab. Yes, blue purple, and so on. Okay, so this is how you will have your primary color, secondary color, and tertiary color. Before we go ahead, I would like to show you something. Okay, now this is we have just done primary color, secondary color, tertiary colors. There is something called as color wheel. If you want, you guys can download a color wheel from Google and keep it for your reference. Okay, I will not get into something how do you create primary, secondary, tertiary, because we just did this. You can try this out on a color wheel on your own. Okay, I'll show you something which I have already for my reference. You also can download this color wheel. There are plenty available on Google, and keep it with you for further references whenever you want to have colors in your doodles. So something like this is called a color wheel. Okay, now if I just keep this here and explain you, I have yellow, I have red and blue here. Okay, so let's say here is the yellow, then I have a red, I have a blue. All right, in between red and blue I have green, which is a secondary color. Okay, then in between again red and yellow I have an orange, and red and red and blue I have a purple. Okay, so these are the secondary colors, and tertiary colors are just around it. This, you know, these are all tertiary colors. Now I'm keeping my color wheel at the side, and I'll explain you a concept called as warm and cool colors. Okay, this is very important, because if you understand what nature of colors you want to give to your illustration, it becomes very easy to pick colors. Okay, so let's turn this, and I'm going to explain you one of my favorite topic, and that is warm and cool colors. Okay, so let's go to warm colors first. So this is warm colors. I have my color wheel in front of me. Sorry, this is my color wheel. If you can just see this once again. Okay, that is my color wheel. Yes. Okay, so keeping this at the side, I'll explain you how it to go. Now warm colors is something, all the colors which have yellowish undertone. That means yellow, there is going to be a tinge of yellow in these colors. Okay, now these colors are, if you see my color wheel, if you can see my color wheel, if I take a vertical line at the center of this color wheel, all the colors towards my right hand side are my warm colors. Okay, all the colors towards my right hand side, that is yellow, then yellow orange, orange red, and red orange, and then I have red purple. So all these colors are like my warm colors. And if I want to show my cool colors, all the colors which have bluish undertone are my cool colors. Similarly, if you keep this color wheel and see the left hand side of this color wheel, all the colors which are towards the left hand side, so that is my green, light green, blue, blue, purple, blue, green, you know, all these colors are my bluish, cool colors, because all of them have bluish undertone. All right, so this is how my cool colors and warm colors are going to be like. Okay, all right. Now there is something called as analogous colors. Now analogous colors are basically any three colors by each other are analogous colors. Now for example, yellow, yellow orange, orange. Okay, this, if I club these three, this is one analogous color. If I want, let's say, blue, blue, purple, purple, these three are analogous colors. Any three colors which are next to each other in your color wheel are analogous colors. Okay, then you have something called as complementary colors, and I'm sure you have heard about this a lot many times. Okay, so complementary colors. Complementary colors are what? Which are diagonally opposite. Diagonally opposite. So something like, if I have my color wheel, these are my diagonally opposite colors. Okay, in my color wheel, these are my diagonally opposite. So blue goes very good with orange, and the warm colors, if I see this side, my red goes very good with my green side. Okay, yellow goes very good with the purple. So all the colors which are diagonally opposite to each other, they are complementary colors, and you can actually pick them according to their placements. Okay, so complementary colors. These techniques helps you to decide which colors you want to use. Okay, and it also helps you. Now for example, if you have let's say yellow, red and red color as your main color of the illustration, then which colors can go with those colors, this thing helps you out. Okay, understanding? So for example, if I have an illustration where I want to create my illustrations more with warm color, and but still I want some contrast to be there, so that everything pops out and everything is not really in one single line, in one single intensity of colors, but I want something to pop out also. So if I'm using these three colors on my color wheel, probably I'll just use diagonally opposite colors, which are green, blue, so that everything pops out and the illustration has a life into it. Okay, so these are complementary colors. Then you have triadic colors. Now what are triadic colors? Anything which is forming a triangle are triadic. Over here, if I want to form a triangle, you see yellow, blue, red is forming a triangle. So that becomes your triadic color. Again, repeating, in your color wheel, if you have, let's say, yellow, anything that is forming a triangle. Okay, so yellow is forming a triangle with blue over here, and then again forming a triangle with the red, and red goes back to the yellow. So this is a triadic color. If I want to, let's say, select this color, this orange. Now this orange is making a triangle with this green. It comes here to the blue and then again goes back. So these three becomes the triadic colors. So anything that forms a triangle are the triadic colors, and you can select them for your drawing. Okay? Alright, so I think this is good enough for you to understand the color theory and the color wheel and everything. Yeah? Let's get on to the watercolors basic. And for that, I am going to take my watercolor sheet. So this is my watercolor sheet. 200 GSM, 25% cotton, cold pressed by Brushstroke. Okay, so I'll just keep this here and we will go ahead. Now when I talk about watercolors, we have a few techniques in watercolors, okay? But before I jump into that, I want you to take your brush. Okay, this is like 6 number brush that I have taken off the Princeton brand. You can take anything that you want. I'm going to clean this in my glass of water and just wipe it off. Okay, and then I'm going to pick colors from my palette. Okay, I'm going to pick colors from my palette. So let's say I am picking, my brush is a little wet. Okay, just a little wet. I am picking one color from this color palette and I am making my blob of blue color. Okay, this is one blob of blue color that I've created. Just one opaque shape, that's it. Okay, do not touch the color again. Do not touch the color again. So I'll just make this. Now I am going to dip only the tip of my brush, only the tip of my brush very lightly into the water. Okay, make sure you have 2 glasses of water, one for the warm colors probably and one for the cool colors. So light colors and dark colors should not mix up. So I've just dipped a little water and I'm going to create one more blob of same. I'm not picking color again from my palette. Okay, again dipping in water and creating this rectangle sort of a blob. Again dipping and creating this blob. Again dipping, creating this, and I can go on, you know. I can just go on with this till the time I don't achieve a complete transparency of water. Okay, now with this exercise, what do you understand? Can you see the different gradient of colors that we got with just one pick of color? Okay, I just picked one color, put it on my brush, started, and then I kept dipping my brush tip in water and created this. So this gives you a sense of how you can have your tone, all right, from dark to light, how you can create the tones. You just need to dip your brush, the tip of the brush, in water, and you will be able to create with the same color, with the same amount of color that you've taken on the brush. You will be able to create from dark to light. Okay, let's see a darker color from the warm family. Let's say I take this color. Okay, I'm just activating this color by dropping some water onto it. I personally like using these palettes and cakes instead of using a tube, because that's like too much of a hassle for me. This is so easy, like just drop water, activate the color, and you're done. Okay, alright, so now I take this color, I just created a rectangle, made an opaque, and now I'm not going to touch the color palette. I'm going to dip the tip of my brush into the water Do you see? I already see the light pigmentation of the color. So you do this with me so that you understand. Do you see how it is changing? It is becoming light. Again, dipping into water, and I'm adding only the tip. Remember, not the entire brush, only the tip. And I can go so on till the time I reach the transparency, okay? Alright. Another tip, guys, whenever you wipe your brush onto a towel or a tissue, don't wipe it like this. Don't do it like this. Always keep it this way and try to wipe your brush, because in this way you will not damage any hair which is there on the brush front, okay? So don't wipe it like this. It's gonna ruin your brush. Alright, do it this way. Yeah? Okay. Moving ahead. This is one thing. I like to have my setup of my watercolor, you know, like things, whatever I'm doing in the illustration, I like to keep it this way. It's very easy. Take the color, wipe it, draw, take the color, wipe it, draw, you know, it's very easy. It depends upon you what kind of a setup you like, okay? All right, now I'll show you one way of doing another, you know, like gradation part. I'll take, let's say, my pink color. So I know my pink color is little at the back. Here it is. So I'm going to activate my color with some water onto it. Okay. You can even see how the color changes and even the blending mode in such a way. Okay. Somewhat like this. So I'm going to create, let's say, you know, one blob, and then take some water, go ahead, again dip some water, go ahead, dip some water, go ahead, some water, go ahead, again some water, go ahead, add some more water, some more. Do you see how the intensity of the color has changed from the top till the bottom right now? And there should not be too much of water. So the excess water I'm just taking on the brush and wiping on the tissue. It helps me to remove the excess water. And then, you know, it just goes on, and I will reach to the place where I'll have a complete transparent color. Okay, and so on. So even when you want to blend a color, you know, just one color, you can use this technique. It's very easy, and you will achieve that gradiency that you have looked for. Similar way can be done for a different color also. Okay, let's say I am taking again a blue, activating my blue, and this is some more pigmentation I'll take, and here is my blue. Okay, I can go ahead and let's say take now. You know what has happened? I told you to take 2 jars of water. I had not. So my blue is coming on my orange. But don't do that, okay? You don't do that. And I can have an orange here. add some water and kind of see that your colors, they blend. After they dry, they kind of blend really nicely. You have a very good effect if you see this. And if you keep on adding water, just the way I just told you, in the reverse, probably you can keep on adding the blue, and so on, you'll have your gradiency. Similarly for the blue, if I want to add for the blue, I can go ahead and add water that side and have a gradiency effect and blending effect. Okay, so this was about how you can achieve gradiency. Okay, moving on to my, I'll just keep this so that I don't spoil my cutting board because everything is wet. Another tip, additional tip I would like to give you, if you want to know if that your colors have not dried out or they have dried out, just touch the bottom of your paper. If the bottom of your paper is cold, if it is cool, that means your colors are still wet. Okay, here my watercolor sheet is completely dried and it's not cold, but at this side, at this side I can feel that it is still cold. Okay, so you don't have to keep on touching your colors and see, because if I touch the color, you know what will happen? Oopsie, this. Yeah, so don't do this. Instead of checking if your colors are wet, just touch the bottom of the paper, and if it is cool, then let it dry. I don't have time, so I'll just flip. Okay, now basic techniques of watercolors. Let's go through that. First one is wet on dry. Second one is wet on wet. Third one, I've already shown you gradient, but still let's do this again. And fourth one is blue. Okay, I'm just quickly taking a pencil and drawing a square. I'm just drawing a square to show you how to achieve wet on wet, how to achieve wet on dry. So first let's see wet on dry. Okay, wet on dry, by the name itself it is like, I'm going to take my, let's say yeah, I'll take my red color, activating my red color. So I am not doing anything to my paper. I'm just taking my wet color and I am putting it on my paper. Okay, so this is wet on dry technique. Your colors are wet, but your surface is dry. Okay, so this is like your wet on dry technique. I'm just creating simple patterns inside for you to understand. Okay, now if I have to take the same thing for wet on wet, now wet on wet means wet surface and wet colors. So if I'll give my, first I'll take this clear water on my brush and I'll give some, patterns again. I'm just giving some patterns again. It's just clear water. Okay, and before this dries, before this water dries, I need to put color in it. So I'll quickly take my color and I'll just drop it. Do you see that effect? Drop it, drop in, drop in, drop in. Do you see that wet on wet effect? Actually, wet on wet effect is very nice for your watercolors. Yeah, can you see that? Can you see this? So this is your wet on wet technique. I'll again take some clear water because I have some space. So I'm showing you the same pattern in wet on wet. I'll just pick my color, just drop it. Drop, 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 and done. Do you see the difference between? Okay, so you've seen how the wet on dry and wet on wet is. Let's see the gradient one. Okay, and the bloom. So the gradient one is, you just take your water, clear water, and fill the space with just water. Okay, make sure you don't pick a lot of water and create a pool of water. You don't want to do that. Okay, so don't create a pool of water. It should be like just a wash of clear water on your sheet. Okay, let's say I'm taking some other color, quickly activating because I don't want this water to dry out. So I'm just, like, do you see how the color is spreading? It is so beautiful. And I'm going to just take the same color and give it some spread. Yeah, and do you see your water is not bleeding outside because I've given it that pool of water that I have given, not the pool but then the wash of water. So it's not going anywhere, it is just inside, it's not spreading at all. So after drying out, you will see the gradiency that you will have after doing this method. Somewhere it is dark, somewhere it is light. Clear my, and then for the bloom, which is again one of my favorite, I'll just take some water and I'll give some wash to my sheet. I'm giving a wash to my sheet, and here I can spread two colors together. Okay, let's say I am taking some other color. I want to take some other color now, or wait, let's not take this one. Let's use the same one. I just had an idea. So some color I'll put in one half, yeah, and quickly another color. Let's say I'm taking this one, another color and putting in another half. Do you see? Yes, another half, and I let my gravity do its business. Okay, so what will I do? I am going to take my paper and I'm going to spread it like this. Do you see how it is mixing? I'm going to take this, spread it this way, it is all coming down, then it is all going up, and nice. I have good gradation. Can you see this? Yeah. So when you want to blend two colors together, this is a very beautiful and easy way to do this. And later on you can obviously adjust your area later on, like so. And these are the basic techniques of watercolors. If you feel there is a lot of water in between, maybe you can just pick water from your brush like this, wipe it on the tissue. Pick water, wipe it on the tissue, so that you don't have a pool of water around. It's not that it will not happen, but if it does, just do this way. And I have picked all the excess water, and now you can see that I am having actually very good gradation of yellow and orange. I can just let it stay. after they dry out, their colors are very nice. Also remember one thing, guys, you cannot control, or you don't know how your watercolors are going to react, okay? Because they have their own ways. You need to do these set of practices: wet on dry, wet on wet, gradient, bloom and everything. And the way your watercolors will come out, I'm sure it is going to be really very amazing. Okay, so these are the few basic watercolor techniques, and these are the few things that you need to keep in your mind about the color theory, the color wheel, and warm color, cool color, analogous, complementary, and triadic. Okay, so this is it for your watercolor session. Now, what you got to do, you will be making your final assignment, okay, of this workshop. So when you're creating your final assignment, I want you to create an illustration, a complete story illustration on a watercolor sheet. Okay, let's see what I'm talking about. I'll keep this aside. Now, for example, I have the sheet with me. Okay, now for example, I have this sheet. Now it's up to you whether you want to have a portrait or whether you want to have a landscape. Okay, whether you want to have a portrait or landscape, it is totally up to you. And what you can do, have a story, you know, have an idea that what illustration you want to show. You got to have characters, you got to have a background which should have some story. Okay, it should convey something to the audience. All right, so you need to do that and color it with your watercolors. So you'll be doing that on a watercolor sheet, not on any other sheet. Okay, please do it on a watercolor sheet, and I'll show you an example how you're supposed to be doing it. Keeping all the color theory and everything else in my mind, I'll just keep this aside because I don't want to spoil my sketchbook from the top. So it's very easy to, you know, just close the pocket palette. It's very easy, it's just done. So, and that is why I like it actually. Okay, now this is my watercolor book. Okay, and an illustration that you need to do. I am giving you an example. It's just an example. Do not replicate this. Try to come up with something on your own. So this is how you are supposed to be doing. If you can see the illustration, I'll just try to zoom in a little. Yeah. So this is my illustration where a girl is sitting at a balcony and she's having her coffee, and there is wind blowing and everything, and she's just enjoying. This is actually, I'll tell you the story behind this. This is actually my balcony, and you know, all the houses and trees and greenery around it and everything. And this is what I have done many times during the lockdown period, where I just sat on the chair and had coffee in my hand, and there's like wind blowing and everything, and it was very quiet. Important, very quiet, because it was lockdown. Nobody was outside, no vehicles, no vendors, and you know, so it was very, very quiet. So I really used to enjoy sitting over there. So this is my illustration. This is how you got to do. Create an illustration and make sure that you color it. Keep in mind the warm colors and the cool colors. If you see over here, my majority of the idea was warm colors. Okay, but then I didn't want too much of warm colors everywhere, because then it would have become one patch of warm colors. To make things pop out, I added cool colors. Now for example, cool colors in my plants, the sky, you know, so there I added some cool colors so that everything else in the warm stands out. Okay, so this is how you need to, you know, kind of figure out what color scheme that you need to use in your illustration. So this is going to be a final product of the workshop, where you can include doodle characters if you want, or if you want to include characters that you have learned in this workshop, you can include that. You can include animals, If you want to, you can create anime also, but I would suggest you don't create anime illustration right now. Try to create doodle illustrations, which is going to make you more confident. Okay, and that's about it, guys. And you know what to do. You have to take this illustration in your hand, get a picture clicked with yourself, take a selfie or ask someone to click, and send it to me over the email as your final project. Yeah, so all the best to you all, and I'm really excited to see your illustrations after this workshop. So take care of you all, and I'll see you guys again soon. Keep doodling, stay happy, and stay fit, guys. Bye everyone.